Here's the episode you've been waiting for. In the last episode, you guys had the action step to put together a spreadsheet with potential marketing partnerships in there. Now we're going to be talking about how to pitch those partner marketing opportunities. Not only that, we're going to tell you about the different kinds of partners that you can have, from newsletter swaps to co-hosted webinars. So this is the episode you're going to want to take notes, get out that notebook, get out that pen, and be ready for it, because me and Laura are just about to drop some knowledge on you. So stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Tiny Marketing. I'm Sarah Noel Block, and I teach small marketing departments that are tired of feeling overwhelmed and under-resourced how to build and manage effective and efficient marketing strategies that work for them. Get ready, it's time to dig in and get a big impact with your tiny team.
Let's get into your expertise, the pitching. What needs to be included in a great pitch to get a partnership?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this actually, and it comes down to answering the recipient's question, what's in it for me? So if I was to pitch you, I would have to figure out how would Sarah answer this question? How can I help her answer this question? And a lot of times it has to do with like, what's the win for the partner? A lot of times it doesn't have to come down to audience size if you're pitching someone. A lot of times I don't find that audience size kind of factors in unless you're doing like a list swap. Where
I agree. I don't care about it either unless it's a newsletter thing.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like specific to that. Or if you're like swapping like Instagram or something like that, you kind of want to match up audience size. Otherwise, it's unbalanced. But outside of that, they don't really care about your audience size. So I kind of want to address that right away because I know that people are thinking that. Then the other thing is, you have to really figure out like, what's the win? Why should they care about what you're pitching? And that usually relates to like, why does their audience potentially care about what you're pitching? And so if you can answer that in your email, that's a really strong way. I'm curious, why do you say yes to pitches that you get?
Usually our audiences align, and I just like them. Like usually it's people that I just vibe with.
Do you vibe with them like immediately, like even if they're a stranger, or how do they get that vibe going?
Yeah, I do. I end up partnering with a lot of strangers, people that I haven't met before. And it's because, they pitched me and then I started following them on social. I'm like, I kind of like their vibe. I'm into that. And the topic would be really interesting to my audience. And it's maybe something that I'm not an expert on. I really love saying yes to those partnerships.
Gotcha. So what if they're not on social, or what if they're not active on social? What do you do then to try and suss them out?
It usually comes down to the audience. If I think that I could potentially gain clients from the partnership, then it's a yes from me. And there's no vibe check involved. It's like an hour of my time.
So then that's the answer to what's in it for me, for you. Like,
it's, do you have the right audience that aligns with people who would need my services? Okay.
And I think that's probably true of a lot of people. Actually, like, could this person be like a future source of clients for me? And maybe they aren't clients today, but maybe they sign up for my email list and they become clients down the road.
Yeah. Oh, list building is another huge yes for me. Like if we are doing something where usually with partnership webinars, for example, we'll share the lead list because we're both investing a good chunk of time creating that asset. I almost always say yes to a webinar.
Interesting. Why do you always say yes? Because of the list building element? Or?
Yeah. I mean, it has to be the right audience, but webinars are a no-brainer for me.
Interesting. They're also a no-brainer for me. I find that the best leads come from webinars, and they convert quicker, and they're more committed when they show up, when they do make a sale. they're amazing people.
Agreed. I was just talking to someone yesterday, Bethany Meadows, actually. I was on her podcast. And I was talking to her about the same thing, that I have found that webinars are the best lead magnet because they are already 75% through the sales process. They're pretty deep in, and they convert faster, and they're usually a really like the right audience. So that has become now my primary part of my sales process. I talk a lot about the customer journey and like to streamline your marketing plan. And that is right there in the middle of my customer journey. And it's now part of my sales process.
That is so cool. I love that. I love that. And so sometimes I bet you could shorten down that sales process if you had the webinar at the beginning with the partner, because there's all of that inferred know, like, trust element that's coming from the partner kind of showering down on you.
Yeah.
And so that creates kind of a heightened relationship, not in a bad way, but just in a like a, oh my goodness, I really vibe with this person. Like, I really like Sarah and I would love to be in her world. And then boom, they're like ready to go.
So this is not even a webinar podcast episode. However, I have so much to say about it. So I'm going to say a little bit more. Webinars, you're doing all of that know, like, trust factor within that 30 minutes or that 45 minutes. So you're really speeding up the sales cycle for that. And when you're doing partnership webinars, you're getting in front of that borrowed audience that is already mirror to your own audience. And it makes it so much easier to sell. I did one with Bonjoro, who has a very similar audience to mine. And I have gotten so many customers through that. I instantly had 300 new subscribers, and I had probably like 10 discovery calls right after it. Love webinars. So that's, since going back to the partnership pitching, I definitely suggest doing that with webinars.
Yes, I agree 100%, but you don't have to just rely on webinars. There's so many different other ways that you can partner with people.
We should get into that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some right now. Like, podcasts are one of my favorites. They're a really fun way to collaborate with someone. Podcasts, let's see, I've done lead magnet swaps.
Hold on, pause. I haven't done that before. Tell me how you did it.
Okay, so I did it with Ross O'Loughlin. He's the founder of Conversion Engineering. And so his people are interested in launching without like a launch. So open every day, you have your course open every day.
It's like an evergreen system.
Kind of, but not like a funnel. It's more low-key, less scarcity. It's really aligned with a lot of today's marketing values, where it's like chill, low-key, let's have a conversation. But it's, you're not like launching, you're just enrolling people continually. So I knew a lot of people in his audience would be interested in cold outreach. So I reached out to him, and so he promoted like my podcast pitch templates to his list. And then people just go to the landing page, sign up, right? And then I promoted his ebook to my list. And so it was really cool. And
brilliant. I've never done that before.
It was a lot of fun. Like, basically you get to brag about someone who's doing cool work to your people, and you don't have to sell anything. You just have to say, hey, if you want to learn more, like, here's the link. Boom. Yeah.
Smart. And adding to my to-do list.
Yes. It was a lot of fun. And it resulted in a lot of good email subscribers. I don't remember the numbers. It was like 2 years ago that I did it, but it resulted in good email subscribers, good people showing up, and it was a lot of fun. I would totally do another one. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. I definitely want to do that too. Other ones that you can do, like live stream shows, that would be a good partnership.
Yeah.
I have partnerships with a lot of agencies.
Okay.
So that is like a different kind of partnership, where whenever they need content strategy or repurposing, then they subcontract to me. So that's a totally different kind of partnership, but also kind of the same.
It is. Yeah. I have a partnership set up with one of the cold email ESPs like that, where I'm part of like their expert provider network. And so people who want help with cold emails, they find me on their list.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So there's like lots of different ways. I'm also trying to think like you can do like Instagram swaps, like take over someone's email list. You can do workshops. I've done like a 1-day workshop with copy hackers. You can create courses with people. You can also do like way less time intensive. Those are like huge, massive projects, but like less time intensive.
Like you could, bundling, like you can bundle lead gen offers together.
Yes. That's another one. Even like summits, conferences, those are a type of partnership. And even just like little things like providing a testimonial for someone or being like a client spotlight or being like a win success story for like a program that you took, that's even a form of partnership.
Nice.
Any others that you can think of?
Blog post swaps.
That's true.
Blogging.
Yes.
Yeah. When I started my business, I did a lot of that where I would guest post in publications. And my first 3 clients came from just finding my byline in these publications posts.
That's how I started off too. Partnerships and guest posting is, guest posting in big publications. Really, it sounds like a cop out to say this, but the boundaries of partnerships is only like your creativity. Like there's so many different ways. Like, for example, I reached out to Sarah maybe like 3 weeks ago or something like that to say, hey, I'd love to do a repeat collaboration with you. Here are kind of my thoughts. And she came back and was like, how about we do this series? And then we do like a webinar at the end. And I was like, I've never thought of that. So just to prove, just as an example, like you don't have to fit a partnership into like one of these like neat little packages. Like it has to be a list swap. It has to look like this. The cool thing is that you just have to come up with this brainstorm an idea or want to do something with someone and just reach out and be like, hey, I love what you're doing. I think your audience would be a great fit for my audience. They're similar, but not the same. And your people would love to hear what I'm talking about and vice versa. What do you think about a partnership? And all you have to do is get like a yes to that first question of, are you interested? And then you can kind of like talk it out and say, okay, well, what's the best thing for you at this point? Because you don't really know what's going on in that partner's life in terms of like energy or commitments or their goals and plans. So sometimes it's best to just kind of get on a call and be like, here's what I could do, or what do you think? And let's figure this out.
Partnerships are the best way, especially when you're getting started. It's borrowing other people's audiences, and it's kind of like a growth hack.
Yeah.
You grow a lot faster when you have partnerships, especially at the beginning of your business.
Definitely. Agreed.
Did we miss anything on partner pitching that we should make sure to talk about?
You should do it. Just do it. It sounds scary, but just do it. And the thing is that there's a lot more people out there doing partnership pitching and partnerships than you actually realize. It's kind of like this, like, we're not going to tell anyone else that we're doing partnership because it works so well. And I don't think that people want to like share this big growth secret because it's quite amazing and it's a lot of fun. It doesn't actually feel like work. So
No, it really doesn't.
No.
I had a podcast episode. Actually, I should just say the name of what episode it was. It was episode 34 with Tom Schwab from Interview Valet. And he was talking about borrowing other people's audiences through podcast swaps.
Okay.
So I sent out an email to my people letting them know this podcast episode is out. And I immediately start getting replies like, tell me more about partnership marketing.
Really?
Yeah. So you're right that it's kind of an underground marketing secret that, God, it works so well.
I agree.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is why one-person businesses should create partnerships.
Okay.
Let's dig into that. So you and me are both one-person businesses.
Yep.
We're solo entrepreneurs, and I think a lot of people might not realize that, but we are.
We definitely are.
And we both grew our businesses through partnership marketing.
Yep.
So do you ever get any pushback when you're talking to two solo entrepreneurs about partnership marketing and why they should be doing it?
That's an interesting question. Thinking about it, no, I don't get pushback. Oftentimes, I get a lot of confusion around what does a partnership look like? What does this mean? How do I do this? And then there's also the element of like imposter syndrome, like,
yes,
who am I to pitch a partner? I don't have like unique ideas. I don't have a unique process or method. I'm actually just learning from the experts and implementing, and I'm getting awesome results. And so that's probably the biggest aspect, is this idea of imposter syndrome. What about you?
that is number one.
Is it?
Yeah, I actually had some conversations with bigger companies that like they're bringing in tons of revenue. They have authority, but it's that imposter syndrome. Like the leaders of those companies don't feel like they have the authority to speak on a certain topic because maybe they're not in the business anymore.
Interesting.
And they are subcontracting out the actual work, so they feel uncomfortable showcasing themselves as the expert. And I get that a lot. And it's multi-million dollar companies that they're like, I'm not really the authority. I was just the visionary for this business. And it would be fake if I presented myself as an expert. But you are an expert at something. You just built a huge company.
I know, right? You would automatically think that they're obviously the expert. But that's super interesting to hear that people at kind of all aspects of business. And I've even heard Joanna Wiebe of Copy Hackers mention this, like she still gets like that kind of like twinge. And I've realized that I think it's just part of being a human, actually.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, your brain is wired to keep you safe, right? And like way back when we weren't living in houses, our brain was wired to keep us safe by keeping us part of the pack. So, the saying goes, you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the slowest man.
Yeah.
So if you are naturally outside that pack, standing out, being visible, being obvious, you're making a target for yourself is what your brain tells you. And I think that is what we call imposter syndrome. And it's like this element of it. And so for me, I've just realized like it's part of the process, that kind of like, ooh, like I can't talk about that really, like me, like I need more stats. I need more proof. I need to prove that I am an expert in this way or that way. But if you kind of realize that that's part of the process, and you'll figure out what people are interested in based off of you just kind of starting to talk and then watching their reactions, that will help you figure out these are the things that people are interested in. These are the things that are different than what everybody else talks about. And these are the things that like, I shouldn't really talk about.
Yeah.
Basically.
Along that, you can also test out ideas using social media or your email. Talk about topics on those channels that you're considering using for talks and see what kind of response you get. See if people are excited to learn about it. It can be like a beta ground, a beta testing.
I love that. That's a way less pressured way to test it out.
Yeah, it's easy. And worst case scenario, you don't get a lot of engagement. I have tons of posts that end up that way. It's a hit or miss, but at least you know now.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you tell people when they do have that kind of hesitation on partnerships?
Yeah. God, it happens so often where it's like, I'm not a good speaker. I don't feel comfortable being the authority. Those are the kinds of pushback I get. And I tell them to have just a couple, like we were talking about earlier, a couple talks at your disposal that you know will resonate and that you can kind of get in the mode where when you speak on a certain topic a number of times, it just flows. You're in like robot mode where Like you're not even conscious anymore because you've been talking about this thing so often. And that makes it a lot easier. Like they're like repurposing and core content and systemizing your marketing. Those are things I talk about constantly. And there's not even a little iota of nerves when I talk about those things anymore because it's like, blah, blah, blah. I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's a little bit like practice comes perfect and that idea. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about solo entrepreneurs and how they can start systemizing, finding these partnerships. What is the easiest way to start cold pitching these? Like, do you batch your time and say, okay, I'm going to identify these partnerships, these potential partnerships, and send these emails today? And how do you navigate like when to follow up with them and track that? I love a good system.
Oh yeah. I think you have to systemize around cold emails because of that visibility part. Because if you give yourself an inch, you'll never do anything. So you kind of have to, what I found works best for me is I schedule in a block of time that happens every week. It's just my time and I'm just going to write pitches during that time. I don't actually try to come up with partners during that time. Usually I'm kind of on the lookout for partners and they kind of just pop up while I'm going about my work or my day or whatever. And so I'll just add them to a master spreadsheet. And so when it's time for that scheduled block of time, I sit down. I actually use 750words.com and I just
never heard of it.
Oh, I love it. Amazing.
Tell me.
So basically it's like this, they call it like a private online journal and it's just a white page and you just write until you reach 750 words. And then confetti sprays down over your screen. You feel really good because you wrote it. You get like a little check mark up on your day and it totally hacks into like tracking and goaling but
celebration.
And you want to like build up all your little check marks at the top and keep your streak going. But I find it's a really good way to like get rid of that mental clutter. And oftentimes I'll have an email kind of half written in my head that's kind of sitting there and I need to get it out. So my process is I'll have that scheduled block of time, open up 750words.com, write out whatever's in my head. And it's like a pressure-free zone. Just sometimes I'm sitting there going, I don't know what to write. And that's what I'm typing just to get to that 750s. And it's just like blabber and it doesn't matter. So I'll write it out and then I'll usually put it into like a Google document and then I'll edit it from there. And then I love to let it sit overnight to see what kind of edits kind of bubble up. And if I can like make it better or tighten it up or there's a better angle, always, I don't know if your brain works this way too, but always there's like some really good edit that comes up the next day that I'm like, that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
I have a hard sleep on it rule. Yes. I write a lot and I will not publish something until I've slept on it.
Yes, agreed. And if I can't sleep on it, I'll take like a 20-minute walk and then see what kind of things bubble up. Like if I'm under a deadline. Yeah.
That always jogs my brain. Showers and walks.
Yes. Showers are another one. Yes. So I'll let things kind of edit themselves and then I'll send it off. And then I follow up. I use Boomerang. It's like a plugin inside your Gmail.
Yeah, I've used that before.
Okay. And so I'll schedule the email to return back to my inbox like in 2 days, or I might pick a specific day depending on if there's a holiday coming up, that kind of thing. And then I'll just keep the follow-up process going through that and keep the emails all in one thread. Please don't split up your emails. That's a nightmare for someone receiving your emails. Like you don't want them to find your initial email in their inbox because they won't. Have you ever gotten that? Keep all your follow-up emails, like hit reply on your original email.
Oh, no, I don't do that.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't ever do much cold emailing either. That's why I lean on you for that. Your expertise. But Okay. So keep going. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So keep it all in one thread. Don't make your recipient try and have to find your original email in their inbox. And I've gotten cold emails like that. They're like, following up on this email I sent you last week. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
now that you say that, I've definitely had that. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. So keep the follow-ups in one thread. Just hit reply and make it look like a conversation. And because it is, you're trying to engage them and you're trying to get this conversation rolling. Yeah, definitely follow up, especially right now. 2023 seems to have like this weird theme of you have to follow up to get replies on cold emails. It's just something I'm seeing kind of across the board with any partnerships that I'm pitching.
It's been true for me. People pitching me, I am busy and don't register the email the first time around, but sometimes they'll ping me again. I'm like, actually, that does sound good. When it's cold, like if I know the name, then it's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm finding people are just a little bit busier this year and a little bit harder to get a hold of. And they're placing less importance on email, which is cool because maybe they're doing other cool things. Like email doesn't really create cool things for you. It's just a form of communication.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely don't be shy about following up because the win is in the follow-up. 99% of people don't follow up. So by you following up, it helps your email stand out. It helps you get a response and it helps your email like look important in the inbox because you get that RE in the subject line, which is really important because your brain is kind of trained to look for those Re's in your inbox.
Yeah.
So it's going to stand out.
That makes sense. So 2 questions around that. How long do you wait for the follow-up and how many times do you follow up?
So for the first follow-up, like wait about 2 business days and then you can kind of start like kind of gradually increasing. You can follow up as long as you feel like this is a viable thing to invest your energy in. I've heard stories of like, say, Sam Parr, the founder of Hustle, following up kind of indefinitely and always giving his recipient an out like, hey, if you're not interested, that's totally cool. Like, I still really like you, that kind of thing.
We're still friends.
Yeah, exactly. Like your rejection won't hurt me, even though I might cry in the corner. No.
Right. It might hurt a little bit.
A little bit. But definitely like if it's something that you really, really want to do, keep following up. Just be polite about it. Like I followed up one time on doing a podcast for like 4 months and it just never was the right time. And that's cool. So I just keep checking back in every like 4 to 6 weeks. Like, hey, is now a good time? Like maybe things have changed because you never really know until you ask.
You're really inspiring me right now.
Good.
We talked a little bit about this. Did you see my little happy dance?
Yes.
In our pre-call, but what was it that I was going to say? The outreach, the cold emails is taking control over the sales process. We were talking about how inbound, it's amazing for the authority, for building awareness around you and all of that, but you don't have control over the sales process with that, but you do with cold email.
Yes, I'm glad you brought this up. It's like captaining your own ship. It's kind of like you're finally the one who's like, dude, I want to go see the Bahamas and I want to go here and I want to go over here, instead of being on the cruise ship and being like, gee, I really hope we get to like dock at the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Maybe that will happen. Instead, you're like, no, we're charting a course. We're going to go find that ideal client and we're going to go pitch them. Maybe they say no, maybe they say yes, but I never will know until I pitch them.
Yeah.
And that's the really, it's actually the really fun part. It's kind of the nerve-wracking part, but it's also the really fun part because once you hit send, you're like, and you get a response, you start to realize how small the world is and how many other cool people you could potentially work with. And then your mind starts like, oh my goodness, this is incredible.
I'm really excited about the prospect of all that. Honestly, like after this call, I'm going to sit down and draft some stuff.
Yes. You should.
I'm going to. I just updated my service, like the packages in my services.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to like reach out to people and get it out there.
Yeah, do it. Definitely pitch when you're like all pumped up about it, because that energy transmits through your email. It's weird, but you put that into your words and they'll feel it. And so put the emotions that you want your recipient to feel, put those onto the page. Like, don't say like, I think you're busy, because then you'll spark that busyness feeling in your recipient. So
And I
use
get that
exciting
a lot in
language.
pitches.
Yeah. So use exciting language. Like, I'm really excited about potentially partnering with you. Like, this could be so much fun. And that will spark the same emotion in your recipient. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited about that.
Okay, cool. Anything else that we should talk about on this one? I feel like we should talk real quick about how the time investment versus return investment is huge.
Yes. Oh, I want to talk about your calculator too. I downloaded it.
Yes.
So I think that those two are really related.
Cool.
Yeah. So you're the cold expert. Tell me, the investment worth the time?
Yes, it is. I've been doing partnerships for, oh my gosh, I'm trying to do the math here, seven-ish years. And I have been able to, during that time, raise a family. I have 3 little boys under the age of 7. That's how I know it. I've been doing it 7 years, because that was like, we got to change something here. And during that time, so I've been raising a family and working, and usually I work about like 10 to 15. 15's a big week for me, 15 hours a week.
That's a beautiful week.
Yeah, it is. And so I usually work during nap times and after bedtime. But the cool thing about partnerships that I've found, especially in the past like 3 years when I've started heavily focusing on them, is that the time investment it takes to write a pitch, it's maybe an hour max, right? Like start to finish, editing, sending, all that kind of stuff. An hour. And the time, the investment out the back end in terms of email subscribers, in terms of new business, in terms of clients, and also in terms of like this ripple effect where you do a partnership, someone watches it, someone attends, and then they reach out and say, hey, you want to do one with me? I really liked what you did.
That happens all the time.
Yes, it's amazing. And so then all of a sudden it's like investing and compounding on itself. And it's a lot like investing in the stock market. Like you just put in these like little increments, these like 1.5 hour blocks of time, maybe every week where you're pitching, and then you're getting big sums out the other side. But the key is you have to be consistent. You have to keep kind of the momentum going. And that's really why like one person businesses should create a lot more partnerships, because they're like little windows that someone can enter your world through. And once you open that window, it's always open. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know about you, but people come into my world all the time from like a workshop that I put on inside a paid community 6 years ago. And people are still coming into my world through that.
Yes.
Same. Or maybe, or a podcast episode or whatever.
Constantly. My growth is all through partnerships and content marketing. All of it. I don't do anything else.
Me neither.
But it makes such a huge difference. I wanted to talk about your calculator. You have a calculator for how many cold pitches that you need to send, and the revenue that you could potentially make from it.
Yes. So really, like, there's 2 different types of cold emails, right? There's the cold sales email, and listen to that podcast episode 23, I think, where we talk 23. About the different types of cold emails if you're a little bit confused by this. But really, cold sales email is you pitching someone else to be a potential client, like 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. And so a partnership pitch is you pitching someone else to gain access or borrow their audience, to basically get in front of that audience in some fashion, to teach, usually.
Yeah.
So this calculator gives you numbers around both of those cold emails. So if you send, say, 10 cold emails to get new clients a month, and you send so many partnership pitches a month to get new clients or to build your email list to get clients in the future, this is what your estimated monthly revenue would be based on you charge so much money per client. And so I think a lot of times it's hard to see like, I take this action and this is potentially what the result could look like at the end. And that's what this calculator helps you do, is helps you like actually put numbers around that so you can see how much revenue you could get by captaining your own ship and setting your own course and being really proactive about picking your clients and your partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah, I downloaded it and I was instantly excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been missing out on so many opportunities.
Yeah. And it kind of fires you up and you're like, oh my goodness. Like, and honestly, the conversion rates on the back end of the calculator to get those numbers are super low. Yeah. Like I didn't want to set people's expectations really high. So
I think that's good. I would rather have low expectations.
I agree.
That's just how I roll though. So can you tell everyone how they can find you online?
Yes, please sign up for my email list. I am not very active on social media. I focus heavily on email and partnerships, like we've been talking about.
And your emails are really good. I'm a subscriber.
Thank you. So definitely hook up with me via email. And I actually would love to let you get this calculator that we've been talking about, where you can figure out how much revenue you could get a month from cold emails and partnership pitches. So you can find that at lauralopuch.com/Sarah2023.
And we'll have that in the show notes page too. So it'll be easy to get to.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for coming on the show.
It was beautiful. I love talking with you. I feel like we have, speaking of vibes, we've got it really good.
We have a rapport. I love talking to you too. Speaking of talking, let's tell the audience about the webinar. So join me and Laura on May 19th at 10 a.m. Central Time, where we're going to be talking about how to do partnership marketing.
Yes. And we're going to talk about how to partner, the different types of partnerships, the benefits of partnerships, going a little bit deeper into those, and also the fun part, how to pitch the partnerships. Yes. Like what do you say and how do you say it and how do you make that happen?
Yeah. And I think that it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm planning on putting together some sort of bundle that you can get if you attend live. So you can have some templates to be able to make it a little bit easier to pitch these partnerships because they really, really do work.
Yes. And we really want you to start pitching partnerships because I think you'll see amazing results from them. So we want to help you do that.
You will. Great.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was fun.
This was fun. What a good idea. Thank you so much for hosting.
Happy to. I appreciate you sticking around and listening to our episode all about how to pitch those partner marketing opportunities and what partner marketing opportunities are really out there. There are so many more that you might not have thought about before. So I have some action steps for you. What I want you to do is go to that spreadsheet that you created in our last episode. Now, you need to identify what kind of partner marketing you want to do. Do you want to do a newsletter swap? Do you want to do a social media takeover? Do you want to do a podcast guest interview? Take a moment and decide what you're going to focus on first. Just pick one. Pick one to start with. And then I want you to write a template to pitch this partner marketing opportunity. Because remember, this is a mutual benefit. So you might feel like you're bothering someone or it's an unsolicited email. That's not what it is. You're also opening up an opportunity for them to be able to succeed and grow their audience. This is a mutually beneficial marketing opportunity. So you don't want to miss out because you're feeling insecure. We all feel insecure sometimes. We do. But that's just our minds saying, I'm an imposter. It's really It's our minds lying to us. Partner marketing is mutually beneficial. So don't be afraid to make these pitches and grow your audience so much faster. They're growing theirs too. You guys are both amplifying your voices, your message. And don't forget, every time that you show up, you drop your knowledge and you tell people how you solve their problems, you're helping someone. It's not annoying sales. You're giving someone an opportunity to solve a problem that's keeping them up at night. And that's a good thing. So don't feel insecure about that. Amplify your voice and start doing these partnership marketing opportunities. All right, go do your homework. Bye.
Hello, and thank you for joining Tiny Marketing. I help tiny marketing departments create consistent content that builds trust with their audience. Book done-for-you content marketing at sarahnoelblock.com. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite podcast app. See you next time, friends.